Hello friends! Today I'd like to start a new video series looking at news that has come out related to autism. I initially planned for this to be a monthly series, but it turns out there's so many news stories coming out I could easily do it more often. With the original idea in mind, though, these are some of the autism stories that came out in January 2023. There will be a few additional news stories released in shorts in the coming days. Links to all of these stories can be found in the video description, so let's jump in. The UK Parliament will be holding a debate on February 6th about giving more funding towards the diagnosis of ADHD and autism. In the UK, a third of adults seeking diagnosis are waiting more than 13 months. This is a violation of the NHS Constitution, which outlines a maximum waiting time of 18 weeks. The only alternative available to them is getting private diagnosis, which can cost thousands of pounds. Money that in this economy makes diagnosis something that only the wealthy can achieve. Hopefully, the upcoming debate will lead to significant changes in the near future for the more than 100,000 people in the UK awaiting assessment. A new study from scientists at Rutgers University found that a specific gene mutation that is known to be associated with autism causes an overstimulation of brain cells. The mutation provokes a higher level of communication between brain cells. The senior author of the study said, "We were surprised to find an enhancement, not a deficit," which makes me wonder if they know any autistic people at all. What makes this study so exciting is that the method used may be used when studying other brain conditions. Soon, we may all be able to speak baby thanks to an AI baby cry translator debuted at CES this month. Sound Dream analyzes the cries of babies and interprets why they may have been crying. But creators are hoping that they will be able to expand on that and detect breathing issues, hearing loss, and yes, even autism, based solely on the baby's cry. It will be interesting to see how this progresses. Who knows, this may be the next evolution in parenting. A court case in Ireland alleging that a boy's autism was caused due to the circumstances of his birth has been settled with a €2.95 million settlement to the parents of the child. The HSE denies all claims and it was settled without an admission of liability. The suit alleges that his autism was the result of being deprived of oxygen at birth. The settlement will be paid out over the next 5 years and help the boy get therapies he needs. After 5 years, the case will be brought back to the court to determine the boy's future needs. For several years now, studies have been released showing that there is a link between oxygen deprivation and having a higher risk of being diagnosed with autism. Might we see a jump in autism diagnosis in young children being born during the COVID-19 pandemic? Maybe. An epidemiological study looking at the rates of autism diagnosis has found there may be a connection between the severe infection during pregnancy and an increase in autism diagnosis. An example given is that after an outbreak of rubella in the United States in the 1960s, there was an increased rate of autism in the children of mothers who contracted rubella while pregnant. What does that mean for the future? Expecting mothers should take every precaution possible, short of becoming shut-ins or living in bubbles. Another thing that might be causing autism is prenatal exposure to air pollution, specifically non-tailpipe air pollution. The authors of a study from Kaiser Permanente hospitals in Southern California followed more than 300,000 children from birth to age 5 and found that there was a difference between children exposed to air pollution from cars and just your regular everyday air pollution. The authors state that implications are that reducing tailpipe emissions, especially from vehicles with internal combustion engines, may not eliminate ASD associations with traffic-related air pollution. While that is good news, we should still be trying to reduce our reliance on cars while also focusing on these other traffic-related air pollutants. Autistic brains are wired differently, and that's why yours has a harder time understanding when someone is upset from the tone of their voice. An inability to read people's emotions is often one of the big indications of being autistic, and now we know why it happens. The study had children listening to recordings of 2 phrases being said with happy, sad, or neutral connotations. The phrases were, "A bag is in my room," and "My spoon is on the table." The children listened to these while in an MRI, so researchers could watch the path the signals took in the brain. The paths were different for autistic children than neurotypical children. This may lead to future therapies to help autistic children better understand emotions. Not every autistic is a savant, but from time to time one is discovered, like an 11-year-old boy who was featured on the CBS Evening News. Last year, he was gifted a grand piano by a complete stranger, a piano tuner who saw the boy's story on the local evening news. The boy had found an old keyboard in the basement of his house and started playing it as though he'd been studying it for years. Only that was the first time he'd ever touched a keyboard before. Thanks to the stranger's generosity, the boy got a piano worth $45,000, and he is paying for the boy to get professional lessons. I can't wait to watch his talent flourish. Turner syndrome is a genetic condition in which a girl is partially or completely missing an X chromosome. And it turns out there's a strong link to autism as well. Nearly 2/3 of those diagnosed with Turner syndrome also meet the criteria for autism. They were also more likely to have ADHD and anxiety as well. This is part of growing evidence that the X chromosome has a big role in brain development. Turner syndrome has a number of physical characteristics associated with it, so hopefully this news will result in those with Turner syndrome getting support for neurodiversity from birth. Medical marijuana activists in Ohio are pushing for autism to be added to the list of qualifying medical conditions that allow those diagnosed to have access to medical marijuana. Last year, legislation was passed in the Ohio House, but it failed to get a vote in the Senate, so they're trying once again. There are several states, including Michigan and Pennsylvania, that already allow medical marijuana use for autism. The state medical board will be reviewing petitions for autism, OCD, IBS, and anxiety. It is expected that they will decide on February 8th. BAFTA award-winning television and theater writer Jack Thorne announced that he has been diagnosed with autism. What makes this story so remarkable is that he sought diagnosis after his agent received a call from someone who had been listening to an interview with him and thought he might be autistic. His agent and his wife both agreed that there might be something to the idea, and now, more than a year later, he officially has the diagnosis. A new therapy has been developed for a certain subtype of autism. The therapy could treat Phelan-McDermid syndrome by improving the neuroplasticity of the brain as well as behavior impairments and cellular processes. So far, it has only been studied in mice, but there is enough evidence of success to move on to human trials. This means we still have a long wait ahead of us, but there is hope. A Canadian girl has shown amazing progress 2 years after starting the world's first treatment for self-harming behavior and autism. Her parents used to spend 10 hours a day trying to stop her from self-harming. She was unable to express her needs, but thanks to a treatment that involves sending electrical signals to her brain, she's able to communicate with her parents and express her emotions. If she's hungry, she'll get herself some fruit or a muffin, and she loves spending time in the pool. Best of all, the self-harming behavior has stopped. All around fantastic news for this girl, and hopefully it will be able to help many more in the future. And that's all the news for this month. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you again next time. Bye, friends!